Hello everybody, Gizmo here. Hope you're having a wonderful day. And if you've seen my previous content, then you know I usually talk about Final Fantasy or other Square Enix related games. However, today I thought we'd talk about the 10 potential characters for Multiversus. And just a quick disclaimer, I will talk about some of the officially revealed characters, as well as characters who I think would just be a good shoe-in for the game based on their abilities, as well as some obscure faces as well. So, without further ado, let's get into the top 10 potential characters for Multiversus. Or should that be top 9 potential characters for Multiversus? I'll let you decide. At number 10 is Black Adam. Because I am ranking these characters based on how beneficial or unique I feel their abilities will be within the Multiversus roster, Black Adam ranks so low because he would have similar powers or be an Echo Fighter to Superman. Although what does set them apart is Black Adam's ability for lightning, whereas Superman has laser eyes and frost breath. However, is this enough to make them feel different when it comes to Multiverses? I don't know. Now, when it comes to Black Adam, I definitely feel like there is potential for his lightning abilities. For example, when he fires a lightning projectile at an enemy, it could create this chain between your other opponents, in which they receive a paralysis debuff, and after a set amount of hits, would actually paralyze your enemies and allow you to punish them. On top of that, I feel Black Adam could have a potential down special to grant himself and his allies a super speed buff. And I think we could expect Black Adam to arrive in Multiverses around about October 21st, if not just before, because that is when the Black Adam film comes out. Next up is another officially revealed character, Stripe. And the reason for me deciding on this placement for Stripe is because I feel he will be another mage or brawler type character. And whilst he would have access to different types of weapons that could be used as projectiles, I do feel like he'd fall short when compared to other characters in the mage class that we already have, like Bugs or even Tom and Jerry. Although I will say the potential for Stripe is that he may be efficient in close quarters combos as well, allowing greater knockback than other characters like Bugs or even Tom and Jerry can. Because of his intelligent nature in the films, he does have the potential for laying traps in the stage as well, which could slow down your enemies. And whilst we do know he is arriving at some point in Season 1, I can definitely see him having an early October release. And coming in at number 8, I've decided to put Courage. And the reasons for me adding him to this list are one, just because I love Courage, but also because I feel he has potential in Multiverses with some of the characters that have already appeared in the roster, like Shaggy and Velma, just due to Courage having a crossover movie with Scooby-Doo as little as last year. Additionally, I feel like the development team could have a bit more fun with Courage and his movesets, given that he does transform into different objects within the episodes of Courage anyway. So I feel like they could incorporate that into the game in some way and have characters that can transform, even if they do deal little to no knockback. And the reason I feel like he would be a good addition is because he has a healing factor ability that would allow him to heal his allies and himself over a period of time. And to better balance him, I feel like he could excel in dodging and could potentially stun enemies when he screams. And he's definitely a projectile-based character in that he could launch various different projectiles at the enemies. And I think it would be cool if they were to release Courage on September 14th, even if it's just to celebrate the anniversary of the film, but they could also bring Courage to the game and get some representation for the older Cartoon Network characters.
1, 2, 3, coming to you. 3, 4, barrel lock your door. 5, 6, grab your crucifix.
Coming in at number 7, I've decided on Freddy Krueger, as I think he could be a really cool character that could add another character to the assassin class in Multiverses. And like Courage, Freddy has the ability to transform into different objects, if not different creatures entirely, based on the opponent's nightmares. For example, when it comes to Finn and Jake, Freddy could transform into the Lich. And I think he'll be beneficial as a close range attacker because he has knife hands, and could potentially have a special debuff which could send characters to sleep. And I think it would be really cool if Multiversus just doubles down on the more mature audience, because they already have profanity filters in the game anyway. I mean, how weird and wonderful would it be to have a horror icon in this game? Go toe to toe with Superman or Wonder Woman and actually install fear into their hearts. And Freddy would actually be the perfect character to add to the roster, given his history of witty banter within the films. And I definitely feel like the perfect release date would be for October 31st, Halloween. And coming in at number 6, Morty. And the reason I put him as number 6 is just because I feel like he would be another addition to the brawler type of characters, in that there is a load of characters in this game already who are brawlers, so nothing really new there. Although I do say he does have the potential to have a large variety of projectile attacks, so anything from the laser guns to grenades, which could excel in more further ranged attacks than your traditional brawler, but will also be able to hold his own in close combat as well, with a few counter moves or grabs just to keep him more relevant. By the time this video releases, Morty will have already arrived to Multiversus on August 23rd, so it'll be interesting to see how much of Morty's abilities I did manage to get right. And at number 5, we have my precious Gollum, as I think he could be a really cool Assassin's class character, in that he's quite a savage character in The Lord of the Rings and is very strong anyway, and he's just relentless in his efforts for the ring. The developers could use this as baseline for his in-game abilities, in that not only could he use different projectiles like rocks and spears, but Gollum could excel in close quarters combat, whilst also having a unique stealth ability. This could activate after receiving a set amount of damage, after which he uses the One Ring to turn invisible for a short period of time, which could also increase his power, thus giving him a potential for punishing enemies if he was to receive too much damage. And I think it would be really cool if Multiversus would release Gollum with the release date of the video game Lord of the Rings Gollum coming this year. And coming in at number 4, he may not have the One Ring, but he is indeed the one, Neo. And I feel like he could be a very cool Assassin class character, in that he could have a variety of different projectiles. He also has the ability to fly, which could also lead to him being like Superman, except instead of initiating a grab, Neo could excel in counter grabs, because we really need a character that can defend against a Superman side special. I also feel that Neo could be a very unique character because he's coming from the Matrix, and due to this fact, he can use focus to slow down time. And I think it'd be really cool to introduce characters that can mess around with the actual physics of the game. For example, Neo could slow down time for every player besides himself. However, as cool as it would be, I do feel like the developers would need to find a balance, in that it doesn't just become this overpowered move that just makes Neo so much better than every other character in the game because no one can touch him. I would say he has potential for release sometime after Season 1, just because the meta at the moment seems to revolve around projectiles. But I do feel like in later seasons, the meta can change so that characters can disrupt the physics of the game as the multiverse roster continues to expand, not just Neo, but other characters as well. And before we get into the top 3 characters in this list, I do want to mention a unique idea that I have. Usually people will talk about their honourable mentions. However, I wanted to do something a little bit different, and instead of an honourable mentions, I have a cheat entry. Now, what a cheat entry means is this is a character that usually wouldn't make this list at all, or shouldn't even be incorporated in this list due to a number of factors. Like maybe they're too similar to other characters who are in the game, or maybe they would be more beneficial as another alternative skin to a character that does exist. I just have a personal preference for putting them in this list, or just because I'm a fan of that particular thing in general. However, with this character, I do share the same name, Gizmo. In no ways is my channel name in reference to this character at all. It's just a happy coincidence. Now, if Gizmo was added to this game, I definitely feel like he would be the opposite to Stripe in every possible way. Because of that, I would say Gizmo would be a support character. And this is because he would have access to long-range projectiles and attacks like a bow and arrow, and he may also have the ability to regain health by playing the trumpet. And for those of you that haven't seen the Gremlins films, Gizmo is very proficient with technology, which would make him the perfect support character. And although Gizmo could potentially just be an alternate skin for Stripe, I do hope that Gizmo can become its own entity within the roster, just because they are complete opposites in the films, and as I said before, Stripe seems like he'd fit more as a mage or brawler class character, whereas Gizmo I think would benefit being a support character. And if Gizmo does release in Multiversus, I feel like it would be in November, if not alongside Stripe. But who knows? We currently don't know the schedule of the upcoming lineup. However, based on what we do know, we know they are working on various characters at once. So I can definitely see Multiversus having a faster turnaround than most games when it comes to content. And this is probably going to be on the nose. If you do like Gizmo as a character, then please pop a like on this video, as I'd really love to know just how many people love Gizmo. Now, moving on to the top 3 of this list. Coming in at number 3, I have the king of all apes himself. That is the mighty King Kong. And the reason for him being placed on number 3 on this list is because not only is he another tank, but I feel like he could be a very good rival to that of the Iron Giant who already exists in the game. Yes, I could have gone with Godzilla, But in my eyes, Godzilla would just be too overpowered for this meta in the game, given that he can launch projectiles out of his bloody mouth, whereas King Kong is more grounded in the physical aspects of fighting. So I definitely feel like he could have a power buff as his neutral attack or neutral special, but he could also become more resistant to attacks and, like the Iron Giant, receive no knockback or very little knockback in general. As a downside, he also has slower movements when compared to other characters, and like Iron Giant, a very, very big hitbox. However, because King Kong is more of a primal based character, I could definitely see him using more projectiles, spears as his weapon base, as well as having the opportunity to not only attack characters with his fists, but also where Iron Giant fails, King Kong could have the ability to also counter many attacks. And if they were to release King Kong, I feel it would be in mid November, just because it's the end of season 1. And from there, we could get an understanding of the different IPs the developers would consider worthy for the roster in regards to the Warner Bros. Catalog within Multiverses. As one fear I have with Multiverses is that too many characters from the same IPs will start appearing as the seasons progress. And coming in at number 2 is the Swifty man himself, Rick Sanchez. I bet you've been wondering where exactly I would put him on this list, because yes, it's another officially revealed character. I am ranking them based on their potential for being in multiverses, as well as what they could offer that's different to any other character in the game so far. I feel like he'll be another mage, just because he has access to various different technologies in the series. And he could also have potential to use a portal gun to teleport to other players and allies, but also be proficient in many projectile weapons and able to create equipment on the fly. For example, with the portal gun, it may only work in a certain proximity, but if you were to upgrade it, it could work in any proximity on the map. And similar with a laser gun, if you were to use it, it might have very little knockback at first, but the more you upgrade it, the more knockback it would generate. Similar to Finn's currency ability, he could upgrade his gear based on how much equipment he has. Not only that, but I feel he could also be able to transform into Pickle Rick using a down special and launch himself at other opponents. And since Morty releases August 23rd, and Rick has already been announced, I can see him coming to Multiverses around about the start of September. And I bet you're wondering, because Rick is number 2, who exactly could fit the number 1 spot on this list? And well, I've got to say, he can be no other than the boy who lived, Harry Potter. And the reason I've put him at number 1 on this list is because I feel not only does he have the most potential out of all the other characters on this list in regards to his abilities, but based on the classes in game, he could fit his current universe abilities and be a mage. Sorry, in Multiverses, you're not a wizard, Harry. And so it just makes sense on so many levels to put Harry Potter as number 1. And I think positives of Harry Potter being in this game is that he could use various different magical abilities or spells to his advantage. He could use his defense against the dark arts magic to counter certain abilities or even attacks. Expelliarmus could be used to deal significant knockback to opponents. And he could also go as far as summon Quidditch Broom with Accio and fly around the map. And in this form, Harry could benefit from a side special, which causes a snitch to appear, and Harry quickly dashes to it. And during that zoom, he actually deals knockback damage when he knocks into opponents. But I feel like he could also have use of the invisibility cloak, which could turn him invisible, and this could be very much in benefit of a 2v2 match, where if you're close to your ally, they would also turn invisible as well, allowing you the opportunity to pincer or flank your opponents, as well as punish them, or give yourself a short reprieve, which you can use to escape from your enemies if you're having a really tough time in a match. And if Multiverses were to add Harry Potter, I could definitely see it happening around the end of Season 1, or around the Hogwarts Legacy game's release. Anyway, that's all for today's video, and I'd just like to know, what did you think about this list? And also, which characters would you like to see in the future for Multiverses? Please let me know down in the comment section below. And before I go, I do just want to give a huge thank you and shout out to some of the people who have commented on my previous videos. So thank you to Octagon Smuggler, Giga Chad Drip, by the way, I do love that name. And thank you to Zen for being my first ever comment on YouTube. I really do appreciate you guys so much. And also to some of my subscribers, like Oakwe_210, Femi Respy, and Zen again, thank you very much. I'm sorry I can't issue out all the thank yous to everyone who's commented or subscribed so far, but just know I do love and appreciate you guys as well. So thank you very much for the support. And as always, have a fantastic rest of the day, and I'll see you around.